Welcome to the Three Box. I'm Devin, and I'm here with the usual suspects. I'm here with Darius.
Oh man. Hey, welcome back. We're here once again. Am I on TV? Yes, we're live right now.
I'm here with Eric.
Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Eric, do we have a special guest today?
We do have a special guest. We have one of the Gracie Parramatta coaches, the one and only Wendy. She is a purple belt in Gracie Parramatta, a very active competitor as well, sub-apparel athlete, an avid book lover and traveler. Wendy, welcome. How are you?
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Like the intro?
Yes, it was great. It was great. I'm impressed.
So, Wendy, I can't remember exactly how we met, but I do remember one of the days that when we were having a conversation, I was just going, wow, this person is incredibly insightful, not just in jiu-jitsu, but also with a lot of philosophical situations. You've blown my mind several times. You have a lot of insight that not a lot of people really know about. Not just that, you're a great coach.
Thank you.
Really are.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bow. Can I get a stripe from your book?
So Wendy, please let us know about how you kind of came about. I guess first point is how did jiu-jitsu start with you, and how did it came to be where you're at right now?
Okay, so I've always been active. I used to do athletics in primary school. I did athletics in high school. And then after high school, sort of transitioned into obviously doing fitness related things. So I used to train 6 days a week, went to the gym, did boot camps every afternoon. I'd spend 3 hours at the gym by myself, just training. I had a really good group of friends as well. So we got together and did boot camps maybe twice a week, really hardcore stuff. And then I just decided, I think after a few years, that I was looking for something different. So I asked a couple of people that I knew, do you know any MMA gyms around, any good ones I could start, doing striking? And they recommended a couple of places, but then I came to the realization that I sort of don't want to get hit in the head. I don't want to do that kind of striking stuff. I'm okay if someone's holding the pads for me, but I'm not really comfortable doing that combat sparring where you're striking each other. Yeah. So I had two friends who I was doing fitness with, and they started training jiu-jitsu. And they said to me, Wendy, you should really try this jiu-jitsu. It's really fun. And I had not heard of jiu-jitsu at all in my life. I didn't know what it was, had no idea. And so obviously I put it off for like 3 or 4 months, because if you don't know what it is, you're sort of hesitant. Like, do I know people? What is this I'm getting myself into? I don't have previous experience or interest in it. So, you sort of leave it for a little bit. After 3 or 4 months, I went in to try my first jiu-jitsu class, and I was really hooked by it. I absolutely loved it. It was a really good challenge for me. So anyone who knows, everyone who's started jiu-jitsu knows the challenge in the beginning, just getting down those basic moves. I don't know how to do this. It's pretty simple. I should know how to do it, right? So after that, it just progressed. So I slowly cut down on the fitness and then started doing jiu-jitsu, started at 3 days a week, balancing fitness and jiu-jitsu, and then going on to doing 5-6 days consistently training jiu-jitsu.
Addict.
And now here I am after almost 6 years of jiu-jitsu.
6 years.
Oh, wow.
Nearly 6 years.
Wow.
So in May, it will be 6 years.
6 years.
And I'm still loving it as much as I did on the first day.
Wow.
That's my journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only my third year, but 6 years. Holy moly. Was it predominantly guys that you started with? Because obviously, you've been doing it 6 years. I've only known you in 2.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Was it majority guys that you were going up against?
Yes. So majority of the people in the gym were guys.
Oh.
But I was fortunate enough to actually have, I think maybe three girls, similar stature, similar age, starting at the same time. So we helped each other in the very beginnings of it, and we were growing together. So we had that relationship. It glued us together. And then as the years sort of progressed, I think you sort of hit life stages, and that's when people start to fall back on it and they start prioritizing other things. So those initial girls I started with are now doing other things with their lives.
That's right.
I'm still pushing through with the jiu-jitsu because I feel like that's my calling, or a part of my life calling.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I was fortunate enough to start with a group of girls, and I think it's important to have that support network, to have even a few girls around with you to push each other and to encourage each other.
What gym did you start at?
I started at Gracie Bankstown.
Gracie Brack. Okay.
Yes.
Before coming to Parramatta. So,
Yes. And then I moved over to Parramatta 2 years ago.
Yeah, two and a half
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's opened up a lot of opportunities for me.
That one I remembered when like I said, I can't remember how we first conversed, but I remember the day where you were like, Gracie Parramatta. And I said, I think you would do really well here. And also we need you to be a role model, because I can just see how inspiring you are as a person. And with Parramatta just starting off, with the base gym that they had, I think Jason mentioned 100 something square meters at the start.
Can't recall.
No, I can't recall.
But
I can't
yeah, everybody that was there for in Gracie Parramatta, obviously, it was such a humble start. And Jason kept going on about the fact that out of all the Gracies, it seemed that Parramatta it was booming. And my sister was there. So naturally, when I saw Wendy, I was like, whoa, I think our women could really benefit, And I don't know if you recall that conversation that
I
we
recall
had.
a number of conversations that we had on that. Yeah. It was great, and it was actually empowering to know that you're at a stage where you can start contributing back to your community. So for Eric started speaking to me about, the happenings at Parramatta and how there's actually a good female team there. We have a number, really, really good number. And for me to be at that stage that I was at and to take that step and start giving back to the girls as I was given. And I feel that's so rewarding. And right now with the women's class, it just feels more and more rewarding to me. The more classes that I teach, the more females that I can empower and be there for, it makes me feel so satisfied.
You know how you said when you first started jiu-jitsu, there was you and two other girls.
Yeah, I think there might have been more, but
that core group.
Yeah, so 2 or 3.
Do you try to during your classes and the women's classes, do you try to push that, what do you call it? What would you say? It's not a philosophy, a culture. Do you try to push that culture that bonded you together?
Oh, yes. So I think when people are in a class and they're watching the coaches, how people behave, they sort of gel to that. So what Jace always says, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? I try to be that person, that happy person, the person to be there, the empathetic one, because I know that people who are in the class might be having their own struggles. Okay, so for being there and trying to ooze that energy, I feel that the girls, 1, they benefit from it, and 2, they start showing each other that same thing. So I guess we're lucky in Para because the girls in Parramatta, they're all pretty much the same lovely, generous, beautiful souls that I'm always around. And so it's almost instant. I don't have to push that on them.
Right. Oh,
I
cool.
think it's already there.
Yeah, but I could say credit to you and how you kind of approach things. That was, I would say, the success of the culture there was predominantly because of yourself. And I've also noticed the big jump in the amount of women joining our gym because I can attribute that to you being there. So other than that aside momentarily, I can also notice that you have a very high, you're very empathetic, and you, from memory, you said you had a psychology, you have some interest in psychology. Can you elaborate on that?
So I went to uni, did my undergrad at UNSW. I majored in psychology. I've always been interested in people, learning about like just psychological related things.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't really want to pursue that as a career because I didn't feel like I was old enough to be able to empathize with people. So after I finished my undergraduate, I think I just left it there and pursued healthcare in general. But that psychology side is always there. I'm always interested in learning about people. But I feel that a lot of the empathy comes from your own experiences.
Like that answer.
Yeah, it really does. So if you can translate your experiences, your lessons, what you learn theoretically into something that can help someone else, I sort of aim for that. And that's what I like. In my personal life, I've been through quite a number of tough things. I think I credit that to what you see as me being empathetic to other people. Yeah.
Understanding it.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I like what you said, because as it could be books and also the experience. And like what you said, you got to be mature enough to guide you got to be mature enough to guide someone. I really like that what you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's good.
So you mentioned that you went through some hard things in your personal life. There's a famous quote that we're not really famous, but I found it last year, and the quote goes, "Hard times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Good times create weak people, and weak people create hard times."
That's very deep,
Yeah.
Eric.
But,
It is pretty deep, yeah.
well, I love quotes like that just because of the fact that I'm a product of my hard times. I think we all are to a certain degree. I've been very vocal in this pod about my struggles with mental health and whatnot. How have your hard times really pushed you to the person that you are? Because everybody's different. But could you elaborate? With yourself, Dev, you mentioned that there was 6 years ago that you made a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've known you for the last 2 years or so, and I've seen you go through some hard times. But with yourself, Wendy, how have these hard times pushed you to where you are? Because again, it takes a special person, a special woman, to really go into a mat with a bunch of guys. And our sport, jiu-jitsu, it's a rough sport.
It can be tough.
I'm out. I like that what you said.
Yeah.
A rough sport with all guys, man. Wendy, I don't call her Wendy. She knows that. Tinkerbell. And Miss Hello Kitty. I really love it. I wish I could wear the gi, what she's wearing, with the Hello Kitty stuff. But yeah, for us, I would say a small girl or a small woman, right? I'm gonna say I'm sorry, but
Well, that's the reality of it. I'm pretty small.
But when it comes to Matt, size don't matter.
It's true.
That is just every time I watch her. I watch her game or how many comps. Phenomenal. That's a wrong word. Phenomenal. I think was it Sydney comp last year when you were put onto above two
Weight division.
Two weight divisions up, yep.
Man, 60 kilograms. That's for a female. Two
Was it
upsize.
60?
Yeah, I think
I think it was roundabout, yeah.
Yeah?
Sorry, my memory is a bit fuzzy
But
because there's
still,
so many.
look, doesn't
so many
matter.
comps.
But your experience, as Eric said, phenomenal. I'm just gonna say, Coach Tinkerbell or Miss Hello Kitty down here.
So
It's a smiling assassin.
So the psychology, because you said you're into the psychology of how people think and stuff. So when you first had to, let's say you were first starting and then you had to face someone that was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't care? Were you just like, yeah, let's go? Were you always like that, or were you like, hang on a sec, I can't do this?
No, it didn't start the first time I saw someone bigger than me. I was terrified.
Yeah.
You think about how you roll someone, and if they're huge in the gym, you feel relatively safe. It's a safe environment.
Sure.
It's still daunting.
So friendly, yeah.
You think about how you go into competition and you're fighting someone huge, and it's all goes. You just go for it. No one really. They might not even care about you. It's comp. You're there to win.
Yeah.
Okay. That really scared me the first time I went in there.
Yep.
I don't remember exactly what match it was because I get bumped up quite a bit.
Because the size.
Considering the pool of people my size, I could go up 1, I could go up 2, pretty much like fighting open weight twice.
Yeah.
But I was terrified. I was really scared. and I had to get a lot of coaching on how to manage the size. So I'm tiny. I got coaches. I told them I'm terrified. I'm so scared of it.
Yeah.
How do I manage this, because I can't seem to get over that hump? And it's really all about your jiu-jitsu and how you employ the techniques that you learn appropriately to suit your match.
Okay.
So I'm not going to roll a small person the same way I roll a big person. It's completely different.
It's interesting that you touched on that. I actually thought about this last night. I'm just going to go around the group. Look, what's your definition of fear? And how do you get over it?
Me?
Yeah, who else?
I think we talked about this. My approach now.
Yeah.
After.
But what's your definition of fear first?
I don't know a definition of fear. I don't know.
If you had to think about it, all right, what's your definition? We're gonna go around the group and
I
just
guess
really open up the
if there's
discussion.
if there's something that if something I approach something and it brings up some sort of anxiety in me, I know I'm not comfortable in it. That's
That's the right word.
Now, how do you deal with it?
So I'm more stoic. I go straight through.
I like that. Okay.
Now.
Okay.
Now, the stoic.
Now.
It's the McGregor move.
What about you?
Comfort zone. It's just like the comfort zone. It's my fear. It's not inside my box.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? How do you deal with
Study with it. I'll do a lot of research to it.
Yeah.
So look, I'm just gonna do an example with jiu-jitsu or any other sports.
Okay.
It's just I gotta do a lot of research to it.
Okay.
Then just watch every movement, or literally the first step is just, you know what, I'm just gonna test the water.
Yeah.
If it's not me, it's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But that to me, it's the outside my box.
Yeah.
Outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's the fear for me.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if it's life or sports or thing.
I'm gonna go to you next, but I've explored fear for quite a lot because by default I'm a very fearful person.
Oh yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, I'm just because I grew up quite short. Again, you're talking about Tinkerbell and whatnot.
Hey, Tinkerbell, but she
Yeah.
has the
Got
magic,
wings.
right? So
Look,
that's the problem.
Yeah, the reason why I really picked up weights and jiu-jitsu and whatnot is just because I'm a very fearful person, and as I really looked into it, and I'm gonna say that to your face, not going sideways. Fear essentially is this: your brain assumes that the current environment or situation is dangerous in proportion to the amount of things that have occurred in your life that you have not yet figured out.
I just Googled him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Google
essentially, I also found out that whenever you face your fear, you unlock your human potential.
God mode.
Yeah, you do that. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, and to kind of connect to your experience here with what Darius mentioned, I remembered you had one of these matches, and then Costa was in the he saw you compete. I wasn't there. Then Costa went up to me and then he goes, "Bro, so what? She's a monster, bro." And I said, "Wait, why did you say that? Why did you say that? Why did you say that? Bro, she went up against like women like twice her size.
Yeah.
Twice her size." And that puts into emphasis, like, okay, what's your definition of fear, Wendy? Like, again, I'm a very fearful person, but you were talking about techniques in jiu-jitsu. When you fall back on that, the fear goes away, especially when you've tried and tested that. But with yourself being this active competitor, I mean, she has a competition this Friday. She's flying out to New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's flying out to New Zealand, and she's not only doing her weight division for both, is it gi and no gi?
Gi and no gi, yep.
Yeah. She's also going to do the opens. Now,
Is it absolute?
The opens
absolute.
is basically any weight division, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you're just getting started. Like, I've competed quite a bit. I'm nervous to go into that division.
Buck, can I just cut you off?
Go for it, bro.
Wentz. What's the
Coach
fear?
Wentz.
What's the fear? What's the fear? Being caught. Because remember, we were in Japan last year for an Asian Open. To me, you probably won gold in that if you didn't get distracted. Guys, you really went. Can I say this? Can I say this? You want me to say it? You want me to say it?
Say whatever you want to
The
say.
look on your face.
Guys,
I don't know what to
she
react.
lost literally during the comp. I think that was for the semifinals already, or for the finals.
I lost the finals.
I lost the finals. It wasn't because of the submission. It wasn't because of the tap or anything. She just got distracted. Her sports bra just came off.
So it was a wardrobe malfunction. Yeah. And that put me off mid-match. I did get submitted in the end, actually.
Because of, if
my
it
bad
didn't
shoulder.
happen, you'll probably go,
I think if
50-50.
Yeah.
Still had the chance.
I feel like I could have.
All I can remember, she smiled and she just looked at
It's actually really
upstairs and
embarrassing.
look at us. I said, don't look at us, look at your opponent.
It was really embarrassing. I was just watching to see if anyone was filming. I really had to just cover myself.
I think that was the idea. So is it the
Yes. That's also a fear in my matches. Like,
Is
if
that
a
a
wardrobe
fear?
malfunction
That's part of
happens,
fear.
it is a part of fear. The bigger fear is more the fight, not so much these things. Yeah.
Okay.
The wardrobe malfunction.
But-
Although that was my very first experience with that.
But I guess all women go through that at some point. Yeah?
I think most do probably. Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah. I've
Okay.
since changed my sports crop. If anyone was interested. So, but yeah, back to the fear.
Yeah.
So of fighting bigger people.
Bigger people. Well, fear in general. One could. It's easy for us to just kind of look at you and go and see you do your thing, but we don't see the underlying what goes on behind the scenes.
Oh,
you know
so
what I
that's what you
mean?
mean. So-
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm going with
Okay.
this. Because everybody has some sort of process on how they deal with fear.
Mm,
But before, like I always say, you got to define what your fear is first.
exactly.
After you define it, how do you deal
Deal.
with it?
Right. Yeah. So I am also a fearful person. I'm
Okay.
quite anxious. If you know me really well, I get really, really nervous. So I'll give you an example. When we were in Japan and I was going to fight my first match,
Okay.
I was as terrified as I was going into my very first jiu-jitsu match. I felt nauseous. I wanted to vomit. And I just felt drained, like there's no blood in my head. I just felt so drained, and I started feeling sensations in my legs like they were frozen. That's what I get. And that fear I carry with me when I go into comps, but locally it's not as scary anymore because I've been competing locally for a while now, so I'm more comfortable with the environment, with the people. I know a few more people than I used to. So because you see people in the environment that you know, you feel a little bit more comfortable and they're supporting you. So that kind of dispels a little bit of fear. In terms of preparing for comps, when I register, it's fine. As the date approaches, the comp day, I get nervous. So I spoke to Dory actually not long ago, and he said to me, someone told me about how you prep for comp and I really wanted to commend you for that. And I said, how do you mean? I didn't hear about this conversation.
Yep.
So I just wanted to get some background. And he said, I heard you write some things on a whiteboard. You write a quote, and then after you internalize it, then you start smashing things, as in terms of I start upping my training regime.
You're breaking it down, yeah.
Exactly. So I do that. So what I do is I extract a quote that I can really resonate with and internalize. I write that on my mirror.
Can you say one of the quotes that resonates with you?
I probably couldn't think of one from the top of my head right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I could share it later.
Okay.
So it's really just anything. And so I internalize that. And when I internalize it, it doesn't become it's not a sentence anymore. It's actually a part of me. So after I internalize it, I'll go out and I'll perform with that in mind.
Yep.
But I think about it. I don't think about it. It's very subconscious because I've internalized it. That's how I deal with the fear. I like to get angry. And
You do?
a lot of people don't know that about me. They might look at me and say, nah, but I like to get angry because it helps me deal with that fear.
Okay.
I think it might be from my childhood maybe, but that's how I deal with it.
Hard times.
Yeah,
Wow.
tough times.
Hard times.
They make diamonds.
I guess all great people, like, they explore the whole spectrum of the emotion. They don't hold any of whatever on that spectrum of emotion. So if it's hate, anger, happiness, whatever, if you explore all of it, when it comes up, you're not scared of it anymore, are you?
No, because it's familiar to
It's
you.
familiar.
And anything familiar, you're not really scared of.
Mm.
It's the unfamiliar that you'd be fearful of.
Yeah.
Well, look, when you kind of just said that, when you get angry, I mean, you've been in the cage. You know what this is all about. I've competed, and holy moly, bro! It really, you turn to jelly, like beforehand. Like as you prep for it, and then you know that your name's gonna come up, and you're gonna get
Oh,
called
yeah.
in.
Yeah, that's normal, I guess,
Like
right?
like just
Yeah.
talking about, I'm sweaty right now, man.
Just thinking about
Just
it.
thinking about it.
I can
man.
see it.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
glistening.
sweaty
I
right
guess
now,
it's
man.
normal.
Yeah.
Like, if no one's nervous about it, because stepping on the mat, stepping on the ring, or stepping on the cage, that's not true. Because I've spoken to a lot of guys who are athletes, literally top A classes. As, are you afraid? I said, there's if a person said we're not afraid,
They're lying.
they're lying. Because remember, we're giving everything in there.
Mm.
You know, anything could happen. It's a 50-50.
Mm.
You know, you could win,
Mm.
you could lose, but in the same time, it's the we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The more to me, as I said, like every time a person step in the ring, they are nervous or on the mat. But once again, as you mentioned earlier on, Wens, that you have when you're focused, when you want to go there, you're focused on anger. Is that correct? Is
Not
that-
focused on anger. I use anger as a fuel to fuel my training.
Okay.
Do you remember something that, like, because obviously that's a trigger.
It is a trigger.
So
I've turned
do
it into
you-
something advantageous for myself.
So you dig deep into the recesses of your memories, and then out
Boom.
of that anger comes
Is
out.
that during only training, Wens, or also during comp?
A part of it is during training, but I control it. I mean, when I talk about anger, I don't talk about mad, uncontrollable anger. I talk about anger as a little bit of an aspect to
The fire,
fuel
yeah.
my motivations, I guess. Yeah.